When a man who's a man wants to be a man after he was a woman in prison, it usually doesn't work that way. And I saw this and learned this the hard way inside a prison dormitory at 19 years old. I was in the prison dormitory and they had this dude who was in the dorm, and he had been in the dorm with me for about a week. I was only in the dorm for about a week. I was fresh fish. And I was in the dorm and they had this one dude. He would run around, he'd play cards, he hit the cards on the table. And, you know, he was I didn't really know him, just a regular dude. You know, he had a full-fledged beard, just like me. So far as I knew, this was just a dude, right? Well, I couldn't have been more wrong than you might even understand. So in prison, they have people who are called punks. That's what they call homosexuals in prison. Punks. I've told y'all this on my other stories. Well, if you go to prison and you're a man when you get to prison, but you decide to identify as a woman or a female or a punk, that's what they're going to call you, punk. There ain't no pronoun respects in prison. They don't care about all that. You're going to get called what you're called, and that's just the way it's going to be. So you can cry about it all you want. Go call your local representative, and they ain't going to do nothing either, because prison is prison. That's just the way it's going to be. So this dude was around the dorm bumping his, he wasn't doing nothing too crazy. It was just like every other dude in the dorm. But I didn't know his backstory. I didn't find out till later when some other people put me on my game, because I was still fresh fish. Well, come to find out, they had this other dude who showed up at the dormitory, and he comes walking in the dorm during new inmate day. So there's a certain day every week where new inmates get processed in through the prison, and they get put into the dormitory, open bunks and everything. Well, this one dude comes walking through the dorm, and he got his bag of stuff, and he's walking, and the dude who had the beard and who was just, I thought was a normal dude, he was standing there. Everybody's looking and watching who's walking into the door, because they want to see if they know it's their people or somebody they know, who's the new guy, etc., etc., etc. Just because somebody's new, that don't mean they fresh fish. Not everybody who walks into a prison is fresh fish. Some of the new people who walk into the prison are just convicts who are getting transferred from one place to the next. Well, this dude walks in with his bag, kind of boom, 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 just regular, got his bag, kind of draped over his back like Santa Claus's sack. And he walks through the dorm, and he's just looking at everybody. And a couple people said, "What's up, bro? What's happening, bro?" They knew the dude, right? So obviously this dude was a convict. He had some respect. You can tell some of the dudes who were dapping him up when he walked in, was some more, some convicts too. Well, they knew each other from the street or whatever. Well, this dude instantly eye locks with the dude I'm telling you about with the beard, the one we're going to tell a story about, who you're going to be surprised what happens to him. He walks up to the dude, looks him right in his eye, puts his bag down, and just slaps the living smack out of this dude. Literally slaps him in his face with an open palm hand. Slaps him, boom, like a Buddhist bomb. You know what I mean? And Kung Fu Hustle just slaps the smack out of him. Dude's whole face just goes boom like this. And his eyes got big like that when he even noticed who the guy was. The dude who slapped him just looks at him and says, "Man, go get that contraband off your face." And I'm like, whoa. Instantly, the dude who got slapped, he went to his locker, got shaving cream, got a couple razors, went in the mirror and shaved all the hair off his face. Come to find out, he was an ex-prison punk that they used to call Bo Peeps. So Bo Peeps had studded up inside a prison where he didn't think nobody knew him. That's the thing about prison. Just because you think that you're in a new place, man, your reputation is going to follow you. So if you was, a punk in one prison, chances are it's going to follow you to the next. Well, he had thought that he didn't want to be a punk no more. It was something he just wanted to try out, something he wanted to test. He wanted to experiment with being a girl for a little while. Well, once you experiment with being a girl in prison, there's no coming back from that. You can't escape that. It's going to be with you forever. So he thought that he can, grow his beard out and just kind of forget his past since he was in a different prison. Nah, this dude recognized him, slapped him in his face, told him to cut the contraband off. The dude went to the mirror, when God just he understood that he better listen. And so this dude who was named Bo Peep, who went to the mirror and he started shaving his face, and he shaved everything off, got a clean face. And he quit wearing regular jeans and started wearing tight jeans and tight shirts and tying the thing up. And he started putting, little colorisms in his lips again. And he became Bo Peep again. Well, the dude who slapped him made him his punk. He said, "You my boy now. You know what I mean? You been a boy." He said, "But now they ain't gonna call you Bo Peep." They started calling him Shockwave. That's right. They called this dude, after he got slapped in the face, Shockwave, because that dude who slapped him in the face slapped him so hard, the whole prison felt it. It was like a shockwave. Like the prison went still for a second. Boom. Stuck in time. That punk Bo Peep got slapped so hard that they started calling Bo Peep Shockwave. So now Bo Peep's called Shockwave, the punk, the prison punk. And so I didn't know that prison punks couldn't have hair on their face. I was surprised by this. It was something new to me. I think I was 19 years old. And, so my people are putting me on the game, and they telling me about what they call old blisters. And in another video I had, you can go back and check it out. There was an old blister named Botfly who turned out another little dude named White Ice. Right? So anyway, my people are putting me on my game now. They're like, "Look, bro, you got to look out, bro." They used to call me Milk. They said, "Say, Milk, you got to look out, man. That these old blisters will come in here and they'll try to stud up." They call it studding up. And they'll try to become men again. He said, "But when they get recognized from dudes who done time with them in other prisons, they're going to get exposed, and they still got to be a girl." Now, look, they had some punks in prison. They were, you didn't want to mess with them. You know what I mean? They were punks. They knew they was punks. They was always going to be punks, but they'll whoop you. You know what I mean? Big old dudes, man, who wanted to be females, 6'5", you know what I mean? Big and ugly, but Bo Peep got slapped so hard that they called Bo Peep Shockwave because he had that contraband on his face and he had to shave it up, And so that's what happens. So once you make a decision to be a punk, then the only way you're going to be a man again from being a female is when you get back in society, I assume. Because some of them dudes, when they get back out, they change their ways because they were just doing what they had to do. I had a punk tell me one time in prison that they just couldn't be without intimate relationships, so they were going to do whatever was necessary. But when they got home, that they would mess with women and men, which I found quite disturbing because this dude was going to go home and probably give people that pus, because most of the punks in prison in the 90s all had that pus, and that's AIDS. And so that's the story of Bo Peep, who became Shockwave, who from that day on, from the rest of the time I spent in that prison, he ain't ever grew no hair back on his face. He ain't even had no stubble. He grew it all out. So, why don't you give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and the Shank and go check out my other crazy prison stories. Let's get it.